Good morning, everybody. This is David Viren with another episode of Percussion Beginnings. So, we've been talking about the double stroke roll, and our last episode helped you separate your hands, just like Eight on the Hand with singles, so that you can focus on how it sounds and your spacing and everything. Now, we're going to be giving you another exercise, and this is going to be your second exercise to help you out with your doubles. So it's going to put your hands together and it's going to help your hands to work together as a team, just like the 16th note exercise. Now, this is going to be 16th note based. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be just looking at that motion. We already know how to do that. It's nothing new. We've already done that in another lesson. But now we're going to be putting two on each hand just like that. So the most important word for us to go over right now is skeleton. And skeleton is the basic motion of your hands when you take away all of the extra notes. So look at what I'm doing. I'm putting two notes on each hand, but look at my hands, not my stick. And they're still going to be doing one stroke per. So if I put the sticks down, then that's pretty much what I'm doing with my hands. And so this is going to be the foundational idea that's going to permeate throughout the rest of this lesson. So make sure that you remember that word skeleton. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the entire exercise for you. Now, I think that 6 inches is a very good starting point for us to be working on rolls. I think it's not too hard. I don't think it's too easy. I think that 9 is too impractical, and 3 is a little bit too hard because it takes a little bit more control, and there's just going to be a learning curve. So I think that 6 inches is good. Now, when I break it down, we have the first part is what we're going to call the little bursts. And you're going to do that twice, and that's the only part of the exercise that you actually repeat. All right, now the second one, you're going to be doing a full measure of eighth notes alternating, then a full measure of 16th rolls. And then the third portion, you're going to be doing 2 full measures of eighth notes and then 2 full measures of 16ths. I like this exercise because it helps you develop endurance. Endurance is a very important thing as a snare drummer, as any percussionist, and that's really important. Now, when you do this, you have to make sure that you keep your hand motion the same. You got to make sure that you do not speed it up like this when you start rolling. You have to make sure that you do not slow it down. The hand motion is key. You have to not just understand that you're doing the eighth notes, but you have to understand that no matter what happens, when you add in the doubles, you have to keep those eighth notes perfectly in time, and that's how you keep your rolls in time. So that skeleton is something to really be focused on whenever you're playing or whenever you're teaching a drum line. So part 1 is we already have those 2 sets of eighth notes, 1 and 2, and now we have 2 sets of 16th notes, and we're going to repeat that. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a. Repeat, and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a. That's the only part that repeats, but make sure that you always remember again that this is only what you're doing as far as your hand motion is concerned. Don't try to wrist everything. That is your hand motion. Now, part 2, you're going to be doing 1 full measure of eighth notes, 3 and 4 and 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. So that's the next part. You're going to be doing it a little bit longer, so it's going to make you stay focused a little bit more. 4 and 3 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Make sure that you keep that hand motion the same. Hand motion is what it's all about in this exercise. That's all you're doing. Don't try to overthink it. Always make sure you remember that. Now, part 3, you're going to be doing 2 full measures. We're going to speed it up just for the sake of time. And then you're going to be doing 2 full measures of 16th notes rolls. And that's it. You're going to see a lot of people doing this. All right. So make sure again that when you do that, you keep that motion. I slowed it down for just effective teaching, but make sure that again it's all about the hand motion with where you're going. That is the most important thing. So part 1, we have the burst, 3 and a, 4 and a. Repeat. Make sure that you remember to repeat this part. That's the most important thing. Now part 2 is where you do the 1 full measure of eighth notes alternating, then you switch 1 full measure of the roll. And then part 3 is where you have the 2 full measures of the alternating eighth note, setting your skeleton, and then you switch, keeping that skeleton motion the exact same. So if you do this and if you focus on these concepts, then within no time, you're going to have some great sounding rolls. Now, remember again, you have to make sure that every stroke sounds the same on your right hand. Every stroke sounds the same on your left hand. Make sure that you're not going to be right hand heavy. Right hand heavy is when you're going to be playing with an accent on the first. Here's the whole exercise in the way that it looks. Feel free to pause it, fast forward it, rewind it. But again, more than anything else, make sure that you watch those hands. That hand motion is really important. So hope this helped. This is a lot of great information, I believe. And if you go and practice this, then within no time, you'll be having some great sounding rolls. And so until next time, happy practicing.